Howdy folks, today I'd like to take a casual peek into the Super Imaginative Chogokin, or S.I.C, of Kamen Rider Agito in his burning form from Bandai. This set is part of a 2-pack, volume 20 in the S.I.C line that contains both another Agito as well as Agito himself in both the burning and shining form. This set was first available in 2003 and originally sold for about 4,500 yen. I got this set about 10 years after the release of this set in 2013 when I purchased it from Mandarake, which is a Japanese secondhand pop culture web store, and I only paid 3,000 yen for this set, which I consider a pretty good deal considering the set's age and the S.I.C line itself. Now, this video will just focus on Agito in his burning form, and I'm going to dedicate a separate video to Agito in his shining form, as well as another Agito himself. Now, taking a look at Agito in the packaging, you can see he comes packaged in his burning form, which is my favorite form of Agito. And I think it's really cool on the show and as well as an S.I.C figure. And you can see here the parts to assemble a shining form of Agito. And over here you can see some die-cast metal accessories where the Chogokin part of S.I.C comes into play, which is pretty cool. And behind the figure are some other accessories, I think some extra hands and some shining form parts on there. Here we have the back of the packaging, and you can see pictures of both another Agito and Agito, who's in burning and shining form right there, and you have more photos along the side here. And we have print here in Japanese, as well as over here. And I do read here, it does say sculpture. And I don't know if the sculptor's name is on the packaging, but I believe the sculptor for this set was Kenji Ando. So that's pretty cool. And we'll be right back and have Kamen Rider Agito in his burning form out of the packaging. Here we have all of the parts and pieces needed to put Agito in burning form together. Now, Agito in burning form is already put together in packaging, but I wanted to disassemble all of the parts to show what is actually shared between the burning and shining form, and what's exclusive to burning form itself. And before we get into that, I also wanted to show this here. This is the backing board that came included in the set, and it's a really neat backing board. It has the symbol of Agito in blue here with a nice effect behind it. And usually with other sets from Bandai, such as Figure Arts, it's just a simple plain backing board. But for S.I.C, they actually put a nice graphic on there, and that's actually pretty cool. Now, taking a look at these pieces here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what's shared between the burning and shining forms of Agito. And you can see this here is basically the main torso with the upper arms and legs and the head. And it looks a bit freakish right now because it's really the underskin, and a lot of this is actually covered up with the armor, and so it doesn't look as bad as it does now. But I just wanted to show at least what is underneath, and it's actually pretty cool, especially this torso area here, because the S.I.C line, they could have gotten away with just a simple smooth sculpt on the torso, because a lot of this torso is never really seen when you have the burning and shining forms assembled. And but the S.I.C line is all about detail, even for the torso, which is hardly ever seen. And it's actually pretty cool. You can see all the sculpting details both in the front and the back. and it's actually pretty cool. Also, you notice that the head here is what seems to be an elongated neck to add to that freakish look on this base torso. But once you have the armor put together, it doesn't look as bad as it does. So I just wanted to point that out. And it's pretty cool here that they added details here on the arms and legs because on the burning form, most of this arm and legs are covered up with a layer of added mass, and they could have gotten away with a smooth sculpt on that as well, but they didn't, so that's kind of cool on there. So taking a look at the parts that are exclusive to the burning form of Agito, we'll go ahead and take a look at the fitted mass or skin or suit here, and we'll take a look at these first. And these form the added muscle or mass or to the suit or skin of burning form of Agito. And let's see if I can get that in the focus here. Let's see. There we go. Oop, lost the focus. There we go. And it's actually pretty cool. These are soft, rubberized type plastic, and they're individually sculpted, so they're not truly symmetrical, matching symmetrical set. They're actually quite unique in the design, and it's pretty cool. You can see how different they are between the left and right halves of the arm. Now you can tell that they're left and right because they're labeled. You can see the L there and the R here underneath there, so you know which left and right set to apply these on. And you really don't need them because, like I said, they're individually sculpted, so you know which arm they go to. And to apply these onto the figure, you just basically slip them over. You can see they're curved to fit over the contours of the arm. Let me just go ahead and place this one here, and place this one here, and you can see how well they fit over the arms on there, and they have a nice tight hold on there, and because of the fitted nature of those pieces. And you can see how these pieces add some muscle definition to the figure of burning form. Now, I believe the shining form does not use fitted pieces for the arms, but this is just for the burning form. And you can also see the asymmetrical nature of the arms, how this particular arm here is a little bit thicker than this arm there. So that's kind of cool. Now, burning form Agito also has some fitted pieces for the legs, and these are shown right here. And you can see these are individually sculpted as well. They aren't mirror matches of each other, so you can see the sculpt on there is unique between the two pieces, and these are also labeled. Let me see. Are they labeled? Yes, they are. You got an R over here and an L somewhere over here. There you go. There's an L right there. So these actually fit over the upper legs of the base figure on there. And they are nice, not too tight, but they just fit over the sculpt of the legs. So with these pieces, you can start to see the added bulk of burning form of Agito. So that's kind of cool on there. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the arms and legs of burning form of Agito. And you can see here are the forearms. And you have some sculpted armor over the forearms, which is nice. And the figure does come with a pair of hands. These were what were on the figure in the packaging, a pair of grasping hands. And there are also a pair of closed fists that are included. See if you can get that into focus there. There we go. And you can see how the right hand is translucent plastic, I guess to represent the burning punch of burning form of Agito. Pretty cool. And we have the lower legs, nicely sculpted and painted. And you can see their ball socket joints. Most of the figure is in ball sockets. There are different types of joints besides ball sockets, which was improved. Even though this is a first generation S.I.C, they improved it along the way before going into the second generation, so which is cool. And then we have this here. This is the main armor for the torso. Very cool, and you can see that this will add a lot of bulk to the figure, which is represented pretty well in for the burning form of Agito. And then you have these here. These are the weapons of Agito in burning form. Actually, it's disassembled. They're two swords, but they're for shining form. But for burning form, it basically forms into a double-bladed sword, and you assemble it here, basically pegged together. And these are die-cast metal, which is nice on there, and they're also painted as well, so that's pretty cool. Now we'll be right back and have burning form Agito put together. Here we have an assembled Agito in burning form, and once assembled, this figure is quite intimidating in look, and just a very muscle-bound, and which is represented in the show. The burning form Agito was a lot more muscular than his other forms, and it's represented very well in the S.I.C form. Taking a look at Agito here in closer detail, and you can see it's just very, very cool, and it's very nice, and has that S.I.C stylization to accentuate the added muscle of burning form. Starting off with the head is shared between burning and shining form, which is pretty cool, and you can see it's made of a combination of solid and translucent plastic, which is very cool. The horns are in a red translucent plastic, a very deep red, very nice, and it's sculpted in the three-prong design, usually when Agito is about to perform a final attack or is in his burning or shining form, which is cool. And you can see the eyes have a very nice detail to them. They have that compound eye design, and let me just turn that up a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. And it's very, very nice. And you also have the fangs of Agito there, of course stylized for as an S.I.C. Very cool. On the back, you can see some more detail here. Smooth, solid plastic with some individual sculpting, what look like cracks on the side there. Very, very nice. Now, taking a look here at the main torso body area, you can see a very muscle-bound Agito there. And it's very, very nice. Now, this is added bulk is, I guess, formed because of the layer that's applied on top of the base torso. And this is made of, like the horns here, of translucent plastic, but not hard plastic like the horns are. This is actually a softer plastic, but it's soft but thick in places where, like in the chest area, you can't really move it too much. But in the thinner areas, like on the shoulders, they are bendable. Which is kind of cool, and it's fitted so that you just place it on top of the torso. You have to remove the head, of course, to place the armor on top. But once you have it on there, it looks very cool, and you can see the details on there. It's very nice, and it's in that darker red, plastic, and you can also see the sculpting detail, all the cracks in the chest here, and the layers here on the shoulder. Very cool, very nice on there, and you can see the sculpt in the back here, which is very cool, and adds really to the burning form of Agito there. Now I have to mention that once I got this figure out of the package, the torso here was had that very sticky residue on it, and I had to basically not wash it, but apply a damp cloth on it and wipe it down, because it was very sticky, and if I had left it there, I'm sure a lot of the lint would have gone on there. I think there's still some lint on it, but just one thing I noticed about this particular piece of softer rubberized plastic, it was very sticky on there, but still, once you have it wiped down, it's not too bad on there. Looking at the rest of the torso area, you can see the sculpt here of solid plastic here. I believe this is all solid, all transparent, excuse me, but this area here is painted over in this very dark gray, charcoal gray color on there. Very cool. And of course, the arms here are that fitted rubberized plastic on there. And then you have the arms here sculpted in very nice detail on the forearms. And you can see the armored portion here, which is part of the sculpt. It's not a separate piece. And you can see the paint detail, and nice gloss red on the forearm there. And you have these spikes on the side of the forearm armor. Very cool. And they're softer. You can see you can bend them a little bit, but they're still pointed and quite sharp, even though they're made of a softer plastic on there. And it's got some paint detail here, a wash. Looks like almost a bronze colored wash on the base over here on the spike. Added a nice metallic look on there, so that's really cool. And then you also have the belt here, which is very cool. That's shared between the burning and shining forms of Agito. And you can see what looks like an orb in translucent purple, which is very cool. And this is made of die-cast metal on there, which is nice. And you also have these two pieces here on the side of the belt, and those are separate pieces of die-cast metal on there. And I noticed that because this particular piece came off when I was disassembling the figure. So I think these are supposed to be glued down, but I think I just applied too much pressure on here and popped that one out. And they're fitted to only go in one way, so you'll know which direction to put it in. But it still sits in quite well, even though this was removed. But very cool, nice sculpting design on that belt. And then on the back here, you can see this portion of the belt, which is in plastic, unlike these pieces here. And it's painted in a reddish gray almost, which is pretty cool. Moving down here to the legs, you have those fitted pieces of armor or skin or muscle on there, and very cool and nice thick legs for burning form of Agito. And here we have the kneecaps, which are in die-cast metal. And you can see the sculpting design on that's actually quite nice. And here on the lower leg, you have a nice paint and sculpt of the lower leg boot area, which is very cool. I really like the sculpting on there. And you got the gloss metal type red, which is really cool. And you can see some more of the sculpting detail there. And in the ankle area, this is plastic, I believe. Yeah, this is plastic. And nice sculpt on that as well. Just really cool stylization, I think, of burning form of Agito. And then you have the feet here, which is cool in that metallic red and black paint, a black wash on the paint there. Very cool. And I wanted to point out in the bottom of the feet, you got some nice sculpting as well. And what's cool is you can see right here on just this foot alone is the symbol for Agito. There, it's actually kind of neat. I like that. Very cool. Now the weapon that Burning Form Agito uses is this double-bladed sword, end to end, which is very, very cool. And this is made of die-cast metal, and is very nice. And is pegged together here because in Shining form they form double separate blades, but here it's a single double-bladed sword. So it's really cool. And again, with the asymmetrical nature, the blades are not matching in sculpt. This particular blade is actually a little bit longer than this one here, so I think that's rather cool. There is paint detail on here. You can see the metal red, and also purple paint on there, on the orb, on both ends of the sword. Pretty cool. Now the application of paint is a little bit spotty in areas. It's mostly done rather well. You can see right here. But on this particular blade, it looks like the paint was off-shifted a little bit here. And on the other side here, yeah, this one's okay. It's just this portion here where it doesn't get a full application of red paint on the detail there, which is alright. Not too bad, but the majority of the sword is actually painted nicely on here, so which is cool. And you got these tips of these blades very sharp, so you got to be careful with that on there. One thing I noticed on this particular figure, at least the grasping hands, you can see how the hands are slightly opened, so it's a little bit loose depending on where you place the blade. The handle, if you have the figure grip, the blade right here smack in the middle, in this thicker portion of the blade, it's not too bad if you position it okay. But when you have him holding these handles here where it's a lot thinner, it becomes very loose. I did notice that there's these notches right here on these. There's notches here and over here. I believe those may be for you can use the fingers, the index finger, to apply a more secure hold on the blade if you wanted to do it that way. But that's still just very thin over here and very loose grasp on those parts. But that's the blade there, so that's a rather neat piece of accessory. Now going over articulation for Burning Form Agito, the head is attached to the neck on a ball socket joint, so you can get the head pretty much all the way around, not all the way around too much because of the sculpt of the neck, but you can get it side to side most ways on there, and you can get it up and down and side to side, basically circular motion. There is an articulation point at the base of the neck, and another ball socketed joint, so you can have added articulation. But I noticed that the base of the neck is a little bit restricted just due to the armor sculpt here. But it still does move, so you can get a variety of poses on the head on there, so that's nice. The arms at the shoulders are on ball socketed joints as well. They can go out only about that much due to the armor, and in, and they can only go about that much forward and that much back, again due to the restriction of the shoulder armor here. And you can also, because it's ball socketed, you can move it around that much. And there's also a ball socket joint within the torso, so you have added articulation on the shoulder here, so you can move it up and down as well as forward and back, so you have added range of motion at the shoulder, so that's kind of nice. The elbows have double ball socket joints, so you can bend the elbows about the arms about that much in, that much forward, and you can bend them, turn them around, pretty much all the way around. So that's nice, and you can, because of the ball socket joints, move them side to side. And the hands at the wrists are also on ball socket joints, so you can turn them all the way around, as well as slightly in and out and side to side. The torso has a hinge, so you can bend the figure forward about that much and back, so that's pretty decent there. There's articulation at the waist that's under the belt. There's a ball joint in there. So you can turn it side to side, but not all the way due to the sculpt. So you can turn it that much to the side. You can also move it up and down and tilt side to side. So you have some range of movement there. The legs at the waist, or at the hips, are on ball socketed joints as well. So you can turn the leg upwards about that much, down, and not very far back. It's not even back at all, really. And you can have them turn out to the side about that much. And you can also rotate it slightly forward and back on there. So that's kind of cool. The knees on this particular joint are a combination of hinge, swivel, and ball joints. So very interesting. You can bend the leg about that far back, this far forward, and there's a rotation at the upper knee on a swivel there, and then the lower leg has a ball socketed joint, so you can turn that as well. So you really have a nice variety of movement on the legs at the knee. So very interesting design on that knee joint there. The feet are on a ball socketed joint, but because of the sculpt, the movement is not too much. You can move it up slightly, move it downwards, and of course side to side slightly, so not too much for there. But for a first generation S.I.C. figure, the articulation is actually done rather well, considering the early first generation figures were basically statue figures. But this one, still being the first generation, but further along in the evolution, where they improve the joints for better range of movement. Overall, I think it's a great figure of Agito in his burning form, and if you're a fan of Agito in the S.I.C. line, this is a definite pickup. So far, he has not been redesigned like the ground form of Agito. So really, the only form of burning form Agito in S.I.C. And just a really great figure, nice rendition of the character. This is my casual peek into the S.I.C. Volume 20 Agito in burning form. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.